हाँ अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है, और लोग ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं ना? अच्छा ठीक ठीक है, प्रोफेसर त्रिपाठी बोले थे कि टू स्टार्ट इट ऐसे।
Riran sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Actually, Horiran sir, yesterday, that day, actually, I had a problem in this one microphone at the fag end of the meeting.
Yes. Yeah, that day.
So I tried to get it rectified by the mechanic,
Yeah.
but after that, I have not done the Zoom meeting. I do not know whether
Oh.
there will be still.
No. Of course, now it is quite okay.
I do not know how long it will be there.
Yeah.
Actually, these are the things we are not aware what is happening and all those things. Huh?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sometime it
okay, sir.
happens.
ठीक ठाक है हरियाणा साहब.
Professor Tripathi is there, Dr. Chattopadhyay.
Oh,
Professor Arvind
Tripathi ji,
Tripathi.
namaskar, namaskar.
Yes. He was in IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Kharagpur also.
Oh, I see.
Basically,
My regards to you, the
yes.
Professor Tripathi.
नहीं जहाँ पर कोई नहीं जाता मैं चला जाता हूँ और क्या.
And he was a very close association in MTI also. So
Okay.
His faculty support whenever he required. And
Okay.
Dr. Chattopadhyay was director in Mekon, Tripathi Sahab. He was director project in Mekon.
I see.
And now he has joined Ekfa University as professor over there.
क्यों बाकी दोनों कहाँ गए?
अच्छा. It just start. I just reminded them we see sir will be joining, so
Hello.
Sir, Arvind Tripathi ji, pranam.
Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar.
Namaskar, pranam, sir. I'm sorry, got delayed. थोड़ा सा देरी हो गया था. So, Rumnath ji, हम start कर सकते हैं?
I'll just call Rajiv, sir.
Yeah. Sir, Professor Tripathi ji, कैसे हैं आप तो? How are you doing, sir?
Well, अभी तो मैं I have been confined to the house only on one floor only because I have not been allowed to move.
What happened, sir? What happened, sir?
No, there is some. I fell down and there is a problem in my leg now. So,
I'm so
I have been
sorry,
asked
sir.
not to move out. So,
Oh,
ऐसे
yeah.
घर ही में हूँ और क्या.
I'm so sorry to hear that, sir. Hey,
Only
only
out of adventure because मैं साइकिल चला रहा था और everybody is not all that. I don't know because everyone thinks that he is the one who is following the rule and others are not following. So that is the whole problem. So I was staying in the side of the road. Something came from the front. So I wanted to come down, so fell down. And that created a problem.
Sir, nowadays what happens is, I have seen with my practice or my experience, whosoever follows the rules, they meet with accidents. Sir, it is a hypothesis. No, it is a hypothesis.
I mean, this is what I know. But then the question is that the one who follows the rule suffers. But somehow or other, अपने attitude को ऐसे हो गया कि on many fronts I'm finding that I'm suffering and those who are not following the rules, they are better.
Sir, this hypothesis I tested in so many places in India, sir. I think
it is very true.
In US it may not work, but in India it works
Yes,
very
that's
well.
right.
If you follow the rules, I think there is every chance that somebody meets with an accident and will get hit from all sides, sir. If you follow the rules, you get hit from all sides. That's what we have seen, So
No, it is very true.
okay, no, that Rumnath can
I am yet to because I am aware of some accident.
Yes, sir, he's joining.
Shall we start?
No,
madam.
No, Rumnath, what is to be done?
He said he's joining within a minute.
Okay, fine.
He's joining.
Okay.
Professor,
Okay, sir, you, in fact, it's only muscular pain, sir?
No muscular. I am absolutely okay now, but then I have restricted myself. Or kya?
Okay.
Namaskar, Satyendra ji.
नमस्कार सर. नमस्कार. कैसे हैं?
I think
Respected VC, sir.
बहुत दिन बाद दर्शन हुआ.
Tiwari, sir.
Yeah. So, Satyendra ji,
sir.
I think, maybe some cross-talk is there. I think, Rumnath ji, I think, please go ahead.
Yes, please.
I welcome all of you for Viva Voce of Mr. Saroj. So now over to VC, sir. To welcome the guests.
Okay. Yeah. Now, all the distinguished, the the professors and the various our scholars who are participating through Zoom or YouTube Live, and particularly Professor Arvind Tripathi ji and Professor Rajendra Kumar Panda ji, and Dr. Hariharan, Dr. Suvi Chattopadhyay, Dr. Kishore, and all of our faculty members. Say hearty welcome to all of you to today's Viva Voce of Mr. Saroj, who worked under the guidance of Dr. Hariharan. And the external examiners for him is Professor Arvind Tripathi ji, who was an eminent professor earlier with IIM Ahmedabad and also with the Vinod Gupta School of Management, and Professor Rajendra Kumar Panda ji is from the NIT Rourkela. So with these few words, we can, Saroj, you can start, your Viva Voce presentation. Typically, what we do is, you have about 45 minutes,
we have read all the thesis. You should make a presentation of 20 minutes only. Very good. Because otherwise, I have to read the entire thesis again.
So, take it now.
Before that,
the time starts now, and you got 20 minutes, as per Professor Arvind Tripathi ji. So, Saroj, please go ahead. And after that, the first.
But please tell us something about yourself, because thesis I did not learn anything about you. So you can tell us something about yourself.
Saroj, I think you can start with that. And after the 20 minutes, the first right of the examination is with the Professor Arvind Tripathi and Professor Rajendra Kumar Panda ji. And after that, his supervisor can say something. Then it's open to the others. So over to Saroj. Mr. Saroj, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Honorable VC sir, respected professors, other faculty members, very good afternoon to all. The topic for today's presentation is study of success criteria and critical success factors in planning of infrastructure projects based on stakeholder views, under the guidance of Dr. Hariharan and Dr. Chandramohan Ashan. A brief profile of the researcher. I'm a water resources engineer with about 20 years of consulting experience in urban and rural public infrastructure projects. Had multiple assignments with World Bank, ADB, and other funding agencies. Currently project manager at Global Sanitation Center of Excellence at IIT Palakkad. I mean, a whole lot of valuable comments have been given by both the examiners, both conceptually as well as specific comments to improve the manuscript. I'll run through a few of them. There were many comments with respect to citations in improving the basis of developing the document. For example,
no, Saroj, you can highlight a few major ones. And otherwise, smaller things, we can just leave, and the examiners also know fully well, how you have complied with that. Yeah.
Right, sir. On the research questions, there was an important comment wherein the number of questions were asked to be reduced. So this was done accordingly, and it is presented in pages 38 to 39. Similarly, the study area, how it is suitable for this type of study was one question that has been as a separate paragraph has been included on this respect. And on the use of softwares also, there has been valuable comments. So it has been, the usage has been clarified accordingly. Now coming to one particular thing wherein for the factor analysis, the root mean square error of approximation cutoff value was given as 0.05 wrongly in the thesis, which has been pointed out and it has been corrected now. And on the theoretical implications and the discussions part, the points that have been highlighted for which some basis was missing, this has been pointed out and necessary corrections have been made. And now coming to some comments by the second evaluator. There was one comment wherein the female respondents were relatively less compared to male respondents in the survey, and this was pointed out, as well as it was also mentioned that since the type of projects which we have considered are infrastructure, there is a possibility, but since users are considered, I mean, maybe we could have got more female respondents as well. So all this has been mentioned in the thesis. Now coming to the research timeline, what is shown in the picture is regarding the start of the thesis, start of the coursework at 2015, and then the registration in 2016, carrying along with the literature and research gap identification in 17, secondary data collection in 18, and pilot survey completed by the end of 2018. An household survey as well as the survey of the professionals were conducted in 2019-20 during the COVID period. And the data analysis commenced and continued through 2021. And the thesis revisions and pre-thesis presentation happened in 2022, and now we are at this Viva Voce today. Coming to the presentation agenda, it includes an introduction, study scope, study motivation and relevance, literature review and research gap, objectives, hypothesis, research methodology, sampling methodology and data collection, analysis and results, summary of the findings, limitations and scope for future research. Infrastructure basically caters to the human needs, and it complements growth, poverty elevation, as well as trade. Infrastructure projects are inherently thought to be complex. There are issues in success of infrastructure projects in Kerala particularly. Transport and water and sanitation, the two sectors studied, are two important infrastructure sectors. User viewpoint as well as the planning aspect is thought to be less explored. Now coming to the infrastructure investments, the table below shows the huge investments on a national scale that has been put into infrastructure improvements on a sector-wise split-up basis. We can see that about 5 to 6% of the GDP gets normally accounted for infrastructure project investments. Coming to the scope of the project, transport and water and sanitation projects under the infrastructure main head has been studied. Project success is getting evaluated. That is the long-term success, and user benefit is the focus rather than technical and project management methodology issues. Planning stage of the project has been given more focus, and users and project professionals are the two respondents who have been surveyed. Coming to the motivation, we all seen technological advancements in different fields like medicine, space research, and even on the project management side, we have seen technology being widely used. Yet it is reported that project success rates are far from satisfactory, which triggers an investigation on the possible reasons. So here we are trying to focus on how the human element is affecting the success of the projects. Relevance of the study. Public infrastructure projects are utilizing public resources. They are meant for the public and hence have accountability to the public opinion. They are expected to generate positive public opinion from the users who are the general public. Project success usually gets measured in terms of the internal elements like time, cost, quality, whereas less importance is given to the external elements like user satisfaction, public consultation, information dissemination, etc. Importance of the user viewpoint for the long-term success of the project is what we are trying to explore. Coming to the review of literature, different types of literature were reviewed, the most important being 92 journal articles, 11 conference papers, about 15 books and reports, as well as one PhD thesis along with some online sources. Project management. It's the management of diverse resources to accomplish a unique task under the constraints, time, cost constraints. Project success, it's the performance with respect to objectives. It's a long-term benefit due to the project, and whereas project management is short-term and ends after the execution is completed. Project management as well as other factors contribute to project success. Success is getting measured in terms of the iron triangle, which comprises cost, time, and quality, which are mainly the internal management factors of the project, whereas other parameters need to be considered. Now, when we go into the project life cycle, which is presented in the figure, we can see that a 4-model project life cycle has been generally proposed, whereas the second model proposes a 5-stage project life cycle. When it comes to infrastructure projects, the one by PMBOK is the one which is closely linking to our area of the study. Now, project success, Baccarini has reported that, it's a project management success is a subset of the project success. with management factors considering mainly input and output parameters, whereas the overall goal and the benefits perspective is coming under project success. Coming to success criteria, these are the criteria or matrices which we use to measure the success. Whereas critical success factors are those inputs to the project system that enhance the success and reduce the failure chances. As per IPA, the success or failure of a project is often determined during the early stages, whereas benefit realization is key to project success. Multiple stakeholders with varying views on success is a common thing in projects. And root cause of failure is mostly not technical but managerial. And in infrastructure projects, external stakeholders form a very influential group who affect the project success. Coming to the research gap, stakeholder views on project success were mainly based on project managers' point of view. I mean, less attention was given to understand the user's point of view. Another thing, in project managers' views along with contractor owner's viewpoint have been studied in detail, whereas the user viewpoint is the one which has been comparatively less studied. And identification of critical success factors for projects in Kerala were not found in literature survey. Coming to the objectives, there are 4 objectives. First one is to obtain project success rating for select infrastructure projects in the transport and water and sanitation sectors in Thiruvananthapuram and carry out sector-wise and stakeholder-wise comparison of the project success levels. Second one is to assess the user preferences for success criteria and explore a possible relation between the success criteria preference and project success rating for infrastructure projects. The third one is to identify critical success factors in project planning that affect infrastructure projects in the transport and water and sanitation sectors from the users and compare it with that of professionals. And the fourth one being to compare the critical success factors between the project sectors, that is transport and water and sanitation. 3 hypotheses in line with the objectives have been proposed. The null hypothesis reads, success rating by project users for transport and water and sanitation projects are relatively similar. The second hypothesis is success rating for infrastructure projects in Thiruvananthapuram by users and project professionals are similar. And the third one is preference level for success criterion is unrelated to success rating. We'll be testing each of these hypotheses as we move forward. Coming to the methodology, success factors and criteria have been identified from project literature, which are those which are relevant to the infrastructure projects and more linked to the planning have been taken into consideration. Demographic and infrastructure project particulars for Thiruvananthapuram city have been identified, out of which 3 projects in each of the sectors have been taken for analysis. Survey questionnaire sampling method and the sample size was estimated, and a pilot survey was carried out in one corporation ward. The questionnaire was finalized based on the pilot survey inferences, and primary data collection was carried out. Analysis of the success rating, success criteria, and possible relation between them was explored. Factor analysis was carried out to identify and prioritize critical success factors for users and professionals, as well as a sector-wise comparison was carried out. Sectoral and stakeholder comparison of success rating and critical success factors was done, and hypothesis testing was carried out. Coming to the study area, Thiruvananthapuram, it's called the land of Lord Sri Padmanabha, wherein the ULB or the city administration is carried out by the Trivandrum Corporation, which has 100 wards. Total population comes around 9.57 lakhs and 215 square kilometers is the total area. There is a literacy rate of 83.8%. And we have major water bodies and transportation system links different transport modes. And Trivandrum being the capital city of Kerala is the planning hub for development projects in Kerala. And it is a city where many of the major schemes are either piloted or implemented. So this gives a reason behind selecting this city as for this analysis. There are a lot of major ongoing and completed infrastructure projects like the Thiruvananthapuram Airport International Terminal, Vizhinjam Seaport, City Roads Improvement Project, which we are studying, the JICA Water Supply Project, BrahMos Space Research Project, Technopark, Trivandrum Technopark, etc. There are about 25 major infrastructure programs that were carried out since 2000, and many other projects are in process. Important transport and water and sanitation projects implemented in the city. Coming to the sample size, we have a population of 9.57 lakh population in the city. These residents are considered as our respondents. And we have calculated a sample size by using the Cochrane's formula. And for a confidence level of 95% and precision level of 5%, we obtained a sample size of 385. This is checked by using the M&A formula for the same parameters, and we got a sample size of 400. Based on both these methodologies, we have considered a sample size of 400. Coming to the sampling method, multi-stage sampling technique was employed with a three-stage approach. In the stage one, out of the 100 wards, we are selecting 6 wards to get a 6% sampling. And these wards in particular are selected from the density clustering approach, which will be discussed later. Out of these 6 selected wards, 1 booth from each ward has been selected in the second stage. And in the third stage, in this selected booth, we are selecting households, specific number of households in each booth. Coming to the sampling method, we have collected the ward map and the ward-wise population for Trivandrum city, and using the GIS software, we have developed density clusters. 3 density clusters were developed with an average 3 lakh population per cluster. The high density cluster, medium density cluster, and the low density cluster. And for the sample, we have taken 3 wards from high density cluster, 2 wards from medium density cluster, and 1 ward from the low density cluster. Here we can see the map of the Thiruvananthapuram Corporation with the 100 wards marked up. The 3 clusters are shown in 3 different colors. The high density cluster is the central city area, which is shown in rose color, whereas the medium or intermediate density cluster is shown in blue color, and the peripheral areas forming part of the low density cluster. And we have marked the particular wards which we have selected for sampling in each of these clusters using red marking. And the Shastamangalam ward, which is the pilot ward, has also been marked inside. Initially, it was thought to have a ward-wise population proportional sample size, which is shown in the table, which will add up to 400. But during the implementation, due to some difficulties, we decided to go ahead with same sample size for each of the wards, and 75 households per ward was considered for household survey. Coming to the success factors, we have a total of 27 success factors, of which 8 factors are reverse ordered items that are given in red color. Among the important success factors would be project mission and clarity of goals, needs assessment, collective responsibility and risk sharing, client involvement and control in the project funding plan, cost benefit assessment, and reverse order items included change in requirements and design, corruption in the project, lack of experienced project team, etc. Coming to the success criteria, 13 success criteria were identified, which includes time, cost, quality parameters, along with the other subjective parameters like customer satisfaction, good public interaction during the project, ease of use or access, perception on the social responsibility, responsible initiative, etc. Coming to the questionnaire, we have a demographic profile in the first part, which includes the name, age, gender, address, designation, nature of work, years of experience, education level, position in the family, etc., which is on a nominal scale. Infrastructure availability in the household, which includes road, water connection, sewerage connection, and familiarity with the project sector has been collected as binary. Nature of involvement in the infrastructure project by the respondent is collected in the nominal scale. Coming to project success rating as a percentage is collected for all the projects. And project familiarity for each project success rating. Project familiarity, success criteria, preference level, success criteria, preference level, and impact of the success factors are collected on a 5-point Likert scale. Now coming to the projects that are selected, 3 important projects in both transport and water and sanitation sector are selected. These include Karabana Kalikavila NH sector, which is a 4-laning of the NH and including drainage, lighting, and other utility relocations. Thiruvananthapuram City Roads project, which is improvement of 42 kilometers of urban road corridors in the city through PPP mode. and the Thampanur bus terminus project, which is a redevelopment of the main bus terminus in Trivandrum and associated facilities. Coming to the water and sanitation projects, the JICA funded water supply project is one of the projects. The main STP with 107 MLD capacity at Muttatara is the second project, whereas the Operation Ananta, which is a disaster management project involving demolition and expansion of drains. Now coming to the pilot survey. Pilot survey has been conducted to check the content and respondent understanding of the questionnaire, and Shastamangalam ward under which 75 households, booth 1, under which 75 households have been taken for the piloting. Based on this observations in the pilot, the questionnaire has been revised with respect to these points. Initially, it was a 3-point scale rating for the success criteria, preference and impact of success factors. This has been now changed to 5-point Likert scale. Then success criteria, question on the success criteria was revised to enable success criteria preference collection for each of the projects. Initially, it was per sector. Now it has been changed to each project. And there was an open-ended question which was maintained to collect additional factors. And there were difficulty in comprehending the reverse ordered items during the survey, despite explanation on this. So the question was split with reverse ordered items as a separate question. Now coming to the user survey respondents, a total of 555 respondents were approached, out of which 525 responses were obtained. It needs to be mentioned here that wherever some data was missing, we had contacted the respondents over phone call repeatedly to collect the remaining data. And out of which 19 questionnaires were lost during the process, and effective sample size became 506. Our response rate is 94.6%. And of the 506 responses, male respondents are maximum with 401, which is about 80%, and female respondents would be 105. Coming to the age grouping of the respondents, people between age 46 to 60 are the main set of respondents. By work experience, people with experience between 21 to 30 years forms a major set of the respondents, and with education level, graduates form the maximum set of respondents. Now screening out less familiar users. When we did a project familiarity assessment, we could see that some projects there were good familiarity, especially the transport projects, whereas water and sanitation projects, the familiarity was relatively less. So those respondents with familiarity less than 3 have been screened out of the data, so that we get respondents with good familiarity, which can be analyzed to get further results. So based on this table, we can see that about 775 before that, since an ordinal 5-point Likert scale has been used in the survey, and 6 projects are taken into consideration. Each respondent's response to a particular project has been considered as a separate sample for the analysis. So the total sample size comes to 506 into 6, out of which 775 has been removed, and we are having a total of 2,260 responses for all the projects put together. Coming to the descriptive statistics, based on Shapiro-Wilk test on normality, we could find that the data has a deviation from normality, and reliability of scale was checked using the Cronbach alpha coefficient and McDonald's W. We had values more than 0.7, which is a cutoff, so scale reliability was confirmed. Coming to the analysis set, analysis of project success rating and comparison of the 4 classes of comparison is carried out. One is user versus professional. Second is core city area user versus user in the peripheral areas. Third is in-service versus retired professionals. And the fourth is transport versus water and sanitation project responses. Analysis of success criteria preferences in relation to success rating for users and sectoral comparison has been carried out. Factor analysis to determine the critical success factors was done. Exploratory factor analysis was done in factor package, as well as confirmatory factor analysis in literal. This was mainly done due to the fact that there were limitation number of variables to be used in the free versions of softwares. So to account for that, EFA and CFA were done in 2 separate softwares. comparison of critical success factors for users versus professional and transport versus water sectors, water and sanitation sectors was carried out. Coming to the project success rating obtained for the different projects, we can see that transport projects show a higher rating in comparison to the water and sanitation projects. The hypothesis is being tested later. Now coming to the sample size, we have already seen that there is a deviation from normality. So non-parametric tests are adopted in statistical calculations. Moods median test is one important test that is used to check the hypothesis. Coming to the moods median test, we have 4 set of tests that has been carried out of which the hypothesis 1 and 2 also is being tested. First one is user success rating for core city versus peripheral, for users in core city versus users in peripheral areas. From the statistic, we could find that alternate hypothesis stands true. Core city users report higher success rating than peripheral areas. Coming to our first hypothesis, wherein we are testing success rating for transport and water projects, for any difference between success rating for transport and water projects. Here also we could find that the statistics supports the alternate hypothesis. Users are assigning higher success rating for transport projects over the water and sanitation projects. Now coming to the second hypothesis 2, wherein we are checking success rating for users versus professionals. The moods median test statistic couldn't show any difference between the success rating reported by users and professionals. So success rating by users and professionals are obtained to be similar. The fourth test is with respect to the retired people versus in-service professionals. This was done mainly to check whether there isn't any bias with respect to perceptions by the retired people as well as in-service people. So here also we couldn't establish any difference in success rating provided by retired and in-service professionals. Now coming to the success criteria, based on the rating as well as the number of users who have given rating to a particular success criteria, we could see that for all projects put together as well as for transport projects, quality of infrastructure has been obtained as the main most important criteria, whereas user satisfaction stands out for water and sanitation projects. Polyserial correlation coefficient, which has been reported as best for continuous dependent variable versus categorical independent variable, has been used for the present analysis. The table on the right, we could see that we obtained a correlation for preference level for the success criteria versus the success rating for all projects put together. Here we could see that time, budget, expected benefits, and new technology are the criteria which are showing good relation to the success ratings. Now coming to an analysis of transport sector and water and sanitation sector projects separately, we could find that in the transport sector there are only weak coefficients and only 2 coefficients are above 0.1, and the significance level is also relatively less. Public consultation and ease of use are the 2 coefficients where we could get coefficients above correlation coefficient above 0.1. Whereas in water and sanitation projects, we could get coefficients between 0.12 and 0.26 for 7 criteria, and there were level of significance was in acceptable limits. Time, budget, improved service level, lack of public disturbance during work, lack of adverse impact, ease of use, and user cost. These are the 7 criteria which has shown some relation to success rating. Now coming to the ordinal factor analysis on critical success factors, we have carried out ordinal factor analysis for 4 sets of data, and of which exploratory factor analysis has been carried out in literal, and confirmatory factor analysis carried out in exploratory factor analysis in factor, and confirmatory factor analysis carried out in literal software. For each of these data sets, we have carried out the KMO test for measure of sampling adequacy and Barclay's test of sphericity. In the KMO test, the minimum allowable is 0.5 is the minimum allowable value, whereas values around 0.7 are considered to be generally good. So for all these 4 sets of data, we have obtained both the KMO test values as well as the Bartlett's sphericity test values within the acceptable limits. And now, after the exploratory factor analysis has been carried out, for all projects put together, we can see that a 3-factor model has converged, which has a total of 10 variables as well. And coming to the model fit indices, we have all the 4 indices within the acceptable limits. The goodness of fit index, which is generally above 0.5, is considered good, whereas the comparative fit index above 0.9 is considered good, and the standard root mean square residual below 0.1 is acceptable, whereas the RMSEA values below 0.08 is within the acceptable limit. So the model fit has been checked. Now coming to separate data for the separate sectors. For transport sector, we could see that a 3-factor model with a total of 9 variables has converged to a good solution. Here also we could find that all the model fit indices are within the acceptable limits. Coming to the third analysis on water and sanitation projects, here we could find that there are a total of 4 factors from 15 variables. And here also we could see that all the model fit indices are within the acceptable limits. Now the 4th analysis, which is on, before going to the project professionals, we will compare the critical success factors for the transport and water and sanitation projects. We could find that need-based concept has emerged as one common factor, whereas the other factors are different. For transport projects, we have need-based concept, risk, action, as well as safeguards action identified as the 3 critical success factors. For water and sanitation, these are focused client action, need-based concept, public accountability, responsible governance. Of the 4 critical success factors under each sector, the need-based concept is the common factor. Now coming to the project professionals, factor analysis of the project professionals. Here also 16 variables have given us 4 factors. The model has converged well, but when we go to the model fit indices, we could find that model fit indices are not as strong as what we obtained for the previous 3 cases. And when we do a comparison of the users versus project professionals, we could find that critical success factors for the stakeholder group, 2 stakeholder groups are different, and it shows that clear difference in viewpoint of the between the stakeholders, and this is in line with the accepted research view. For the users, it's need-based concept, inclusive planning, and robust risk management, which are the critical success factors. Whereas for project professionals, it is safeguards, due diligence, strong project governance, resource crunch, and unclear scope, which has emerged as the critical success factors. Coming to the summary of the findings, project familiarity and success rating of transport projects by users in Thiruvananthapuram is found to be higher than that for water and sanitation projects. Success rating for infrastructure projects in Thiruvananthapuram by users and project professionals are found to be relatively similar. More users have shown preference for infrastructure quality in road projects, while user satisfaction is more important in water and sanitation projects. Preference level for project success criterion among users in Thiruvananthapuram shows a weak yet significant relation to success rating, in particular for water and sanitation projects. Critical success factors for transport projects and water and sanitation projects are found to be generally different, except for the one factor, that is a need-based concept. Priority level for this factor is more in transport projects, whereas the first priority, whereas in water and sanitation projects, it is in the second priority. Critical success factors, as per users and as per professionals, shows no similarity, which is in line with the literature. More focus towards critical success factors during infrastructure project planning will help achieve higher success levels. Coming to the theoretical implications, sectoral variation in infrastructure in success ratings is in line with the literature. Project success levels vary based on project type, is what literature is reporting. Whereas similar success levels reported by users and project professionals is contrary to the accepted literature view, whereas current findings on two set of stakeholders may not be sufficient to substantiate the claim. Further studies would be required to check whether this is true. Relation between success criteria preference and success rating adds on to similar studies by other researchers in this field on other sectors, whereas in city-specific infrastructure project context, this can be subject to further studies. No similarity in critical success factors by users and professionals, and except for the strong needs-based concept, which has emerged as strong. There is a small mistake. There is no similarity in critical success factors by users and professionals. A strong need-based concept is a common critical success factor for transport and water and sanitation projects for the users, while strong project governance and safeguards due diligence are important for professionals. Another implication is the need to address all stakeholder expectations by apt identification of user needs and inclusive approach to stakeholder engagement. Now coming to the practical implications, similar project success ratings and an alignment in CSF, that is critical success factors, by users and professionals shows a greater level of awareness among the users in Thiruvananthapuram. Project agencies could leverage this local knowledge during the planning of projects. Second one is users are more familiar and they are assigning higher success to transport projects versus the water and sanitation projects. This possibly could be due to over the ground assets for transport projects and under the ground assets for water and sanitation projects. But this inference will definitely help during social evaluation of infrastructure programs and fixing a just success benchmarks for each sector. Relation of success criteria preference to success rating helps define balanced success criteria based on stakeholder strategy and weigh out multiple stakeholders' responses during the performance analysis of projects. And all these above aspects will help plan impact parameters while doing big infrastructure programs, as well as guide advisory on public policy for governance of public infrastructure and to complement infrastructure master planning. Now coming to the study limitations. The study relies on the finding of select projects, that is 3 projects in each of the in 2 sectors of infrastructure. While success parameters are reported to be varying by project type, project geography, and implementation model, as well as cultural factors also. So this is a limitation for the study. And in the 2 sectors studied itself, common nature projects like roads and roads project, one bus stand, as well as water supply and sewerage projects are studied. There are other projects in the particular sectors like airports, railways, metro or monorail, and non-motorized transport mechanisms in the transport sector, as well as dams, groundwater, marine works, and integrated water transport in the ports when it comes to water projects. So these projects have not been studied. That is another limitation. And 2 stakeholder classes have been studied. These are users and project professionals, whereas important other stakeholders like contractor, funding agencies, regulatory agencies, and city administration not studied. So generally varying stakeholder views are observed in projects, which is normal, but there is need to align multi-stakeholder views so as to succeed in projects. Project planning phase is more focused, which will not give a complete picture of the projects. And coming and newer concepts like success monitoring in each of the stages is getting reported in literature using different matrices. So that will be another development which will add a limitation to our study. And now coming to the scope of future study, project success is a niche area, and there have been a lot of studies in different aspects of project success. So there is possibility to improve upon as well as depend upon the current study for further research. Current inferences prompt further investigation into success criteria preference versus success level relation, and to support further multi-sector project analysis. The methodology itself will support qualitative and empirical analysis for comprehensive infrastructure assessment for similar cities in India, like similar cities like Trivandrum. Project complexity is an important aspect which has not been studied. There were efforts to do a basic complexity analysis, but couldn't arrive at any particular result, so that has not been included in the study. Project success is assessed mostly technically, while more people focus has been sought in recent times. So comparative analysis of the effects of systemic and subjective elements in infrastructure projects could be an analysis which could be done by taking some clues from the present study, and a detailed study of limitation of the PMO officers dealing with infrastructure and capacity building of this could be carried out. Coming to the achievements, some papers have been published as well as presented in journals and conferences, which has been shown here. And there was also one specialization course which was carried out as part of the research on project management behavioral aspects. Acknowledgement is due to a lot of people who have helped in various aspects during the course of this research journey. First, I would wish to mention the entire IUJ team, ably guided by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rao sir. Rao sir has been instrumental in providing several rounds of valuable advice throughout my different stages of research, as well as overall direction to the study. My research supervisor, Dr. Hariharan, as well as my co-supervisor, Dr. Chandramohan, both gave detailed guidance regarding the systematic research process and wholehearted support and advice, which helped bring confidence and backing to focus and complete this study. Respects are also due to Professor K.K. Nag and Professor A. Khan, both of whom during our early stages of research have been guiding us. They helped develop research aptitude and my attitude. All our research coordinators, Dr. Swain, Dr. Rumna Bhattacharya, Dr. Barik, all have helped in the overall coordination, advice, and providing support during the various stages. I would wish to thank my reviewers who have all provided valuable advice which helped improve the manuscript at different stages of the review process. And my thanks to the co-scholars and other friends who have helped in this venture. Also, the software developers who have helped us give free software for the analysis deserves mention. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. So while you could meet the standard of Professor Arvind Tripathi 20 minutes, you could complete in 45 minutes. So Professor Tripathi, is always sets the benchmark very high. So see, so now, sir, can we start with you, sir, Professor Arvind Tripathi ji, because as such you got some leg problem also. Maybe may have to take some rest. Yes, sir. So, sir, can he just disable these things at the screen?
Sorry, I didn't get.
Yeah. Sir, yeah, fine. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we can continue till dinner, I hope. Suppose you are not hosting, that is please send them. I'm having some tea. This tea is $10. So please send it to me.
No, virtually, sir, virtually we can offer anything, sir, free of cost.
No, not free of cost. These are all cost to be paid.
Okay, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thanks very much. Mr. Sarosh, am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can I ask you some personal question?
Yes, sir, please.
Oh, good. Thanks very much. How old are you?
I am 45.
Only? Oh, God.
Yes.
Good. And you are one step ahead because by the time I completed my PhD, I was almost 40 anyway. So you are beyond that, so no problem. And you are working in projects, am I right?
Yes, sir, I am working in projects.
Currently also you are working in
Yes, sir. Currently, I'm working in the incubation wing of IIT Palakkad.
IIT Palakkad, okay.
IIT Palakkad. This is basically we are incubating startups which
But
are
you are
linked to
employed by
sanitation.
IIT Palakkad, am I correct?
Come again, please, sir.
You are employed by IIT Palakkad.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see. You have been always with IIT Palakkad?
No, sir. I just joined this organization during the last year, April of last year.
Oh, after
Until then, I was a consultant.
Okay, fine.
Freelancing.
Okay, very good. Now, did you do a PhD in ICFI as a resident student or external?
No, sir. It's an executive program which is
Sir,
given to us.
it's a part-time PhD program. Sir.
That's what I'm asking. Whether is it,
For the working professionals, it's a part-time PhD.
Okay, fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know. That's about all. Okay. Now, what is your motivation to do PhD, Mr. Saroj? Why are you doing
Sir,
PhD?
I have been longing to do PhD for a longer period of time. Like, I would wish to say that I have been a learner in some course or the other all these years. I mean, initially I did my, after my water resources specialization, after my civil engineering, I started my career. But in the middle, I did my MBA, which got extended to almost 10 years. That was also from ICFI. Due to some personal reasons and all, it got extended. Then after that, I felt like I should be doing PhD. So I slowly started at that time.
No,
this
why
program
did you
for
do PhD?
Sir,
Why
the
did you feel like-
motivation was basically I wanted to do some research on these public projects and all.
No, research you can do, but that doesn't mean you have to do PhD. Because doing PhD and doing research are slightly different things. Okay. Doing PhD is meeting a criteria and following certain procedures and possibly satisfying certain requirement. And doing research is completely different. PhD doesn't mean they have done a lot of research work. Very sorry to say this, but that is what it is. Okay. I mean, it is true for most PhDs anyway. So let us know. Anyway, so you're still in that IIT Palakkad and in the incubation center or whatever it is. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. That's correct. Now, the question I got a lot of questions. Why? How much studies you have done on projects? Did you look at various projects?
Yes, sir. I went through the literature as well as during my work until last April, I was into public infrastructure projects, different sorts of public infrastructure projects, city development and rural projects. So there I was involved.
Your PhD, let me tell you, please don't mind, because I mean, Mr. Rao know it very well. I hope you'll excuse me, Professor Rao. And is that I normally talk very nonsensical things and very bad things. Okay, so please don't feel bad about it. Okay. See, the doing research and doing PhD are two different things. Okay, let us. At least I am very clear in my mind. And in fact, there are many researchers who have never done PhD. I can name at least 2 persons. Okay. And I giving this name so that, and I request all those who are listening now, they might have heard this from me earlier also, but I'm again requesting, please go to the website and learn more about this. One is Professor Jonathan Rosenhead. He never did his PhD, but he can floor any PhD at any point of time, anywhere. Okay, that's the first thing. And the other person is Homi Katrak. Okay. Though the name sounds Indian, but actually he is a Pakistani origin Parsi, now settled in Britain. And he has got possibly some 20-25 PhD students working all over the globe. And so also Jonathan. Jonathan has got much more. Has got much more visibility. Now, both of them have not done any PhD. But if this stands, everybody else stopped talking. Both these persons. Okay? Because they have got standing like that. So the question is that doing PhD doesn't mean that you have done a lot of research. That is not a fact. And if you want to do research, you need not do PhD. So this is the first thing I must clarify. PhD has got a very limited objective. And some other, as you know, I hope you know, in India, you need not be a PhD if you want to be a professor. But if you want to become associate professor, you have to have a PhD. Am I right, Professor Rao? Am I right or not?
Sir, to the best of my knowledge, sir, I think, UGC, they have different ways of looking at things.
Yes, I'm talking to UGC.
Maybe they may be.
According to UGC.
Sir, so far, sir, until a few minutes back, what you said was right. Even in the IIMs also, it was not insisting.
IIM don't insist for anything.
In the new regulations, now they are putting that, sir. Yeah, sir, in fact, in the UGC regulation 2022, so there, professor also must have PhD, sir. So
Professors?
Professor must have PhD, sir, now.
Where? In UGC?
Sir,
No,
as
please see
per
the UGC
new UGC regulations, if somebody has to guide.
No, professor, associate professor you need. Associate professor you need. But
Okay,
professor,
so we can discuss that, sir. We can discuss that. I think.
Okay, that's what we can see. There's nothing to discuss. You can see the UGC website.
So no, this was the kind of this was the case until very recently.
Mr. Saros.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yes,
have
sir.
this work and you have done PhD, and as I said, you possibly may not be very clear. चलो एक PhD भी कर दिया जाए. बहती पानी में बहती गंगा में मैं भी नहीं हाथ धो दिया और क्या. So that's also okay. But I have got a lot of things to ask you. First of all, I don't know why you have given this title. And let me, before I really come to my question, what is your learning about projects? Because the infrastructure project is the key word in your thesis title. Let me be very clear. At least when I started reading your thesis, I started with the thing that, well, there is something great going to come up on infrastructure projects. That's the key word in the thesis title. So what is your learning about infrastructure projects? How much have you learned through your thesis work?
Sir, we could understand newer perspectives from the users when we start discussing with them.
What have you learned? I don't know that. What users have learned, I don't want to know. What have you learned about infrastructure projects in your all the study that you have done for so many years?
Sir, these are basically infrastructure projects are very complex. I mean, that is one thing which I could learn.
That's the English sentence that could be done by without knowing anything. I can make the statement.
Yes, sir, I agree. But you have a lot of knowledge. I mean,
No, I don't have any knowledge at all. I'm just asking very basic questions. The point,
the point
is that, let me tell you, I'm very frank. And in fact, I was very excited when I got this thesis because I thought there is something regarding projects going to come up. Okay. And there's hardly anything on projects in this thesis. Okay, let me tell you. Okay. And then I was really frustrated. Anyway, that's not the point because doing PhD and learning, these are two different things. Okay. So I didn't find much about projects in this whole thesis. It is more of a data analysis and trying to do more than 90% of your work on data analysis. Even your final things also is on data analysis. You have never tried to look at it. In fact, one of the things, what is the duration of all the projects that we have selected? You have selected how many projects? 25.
6 projects, sir.
6 projects.
6 projects.
6 projects. What is the duration of these projects?
Sir, out of this, barring the one water and sanitation project, that was a disaster management, which happened very quickly. In
No, I don't know duration.
Yes, sir. I mean, generally it was 3 years.
But
I mean,
one was 9 years.
When we say until execution, it was mostly 3 years.
I'm not asking. In your sample, there is a project which is 9 years. Am I correct?
Sir, there is one PPP project. That is 15 years annuity.
Is there a project in your study which is of 9 years duration?
So some projects have got extended and the time frame has increased. The original time frame is.
In your sample, is there a project that you have taken and considered for a study which is of 9 years duration?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, fine. That's it. That is the it ends. Now the question is that the whole definition of project. What is the definition of project?
So project is basically a temporary venture where different resources have been utilized to create a unique result under constraints. It could be time, cost, quality, or other factors as well.
Okay, very good. Now the question is that what is not a project? What is
I
called?
mean,
What project, what
it's
it is
a,
called?
it will be, I mean, operations, continuous.
Operation. Now,
yes.
what is the basic difference between operation and a project?
Operation continues beyond a specific time frame. It continues for ever, I would say. Whereas project is
goes on doing, and actually, as you rightly said, the difference between a project and operation comes in terms of the time frame.
yes.
And what is the time that you talk of?
Sir, generally the time until the execution was perceived as
Yeah, how long? How many? It is 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. How much it is? Is there a time frame for projects?
depends upon projects, but
And there be
generally, I
project
mean,
50 years duration?
generally no, sir.
Okay. Can there be
But
20 years project? Can there be 10 years project? Can there be 5 years project? Can there be 3 years projects?
Yes, sir. There are long duration projects. It depends upon, I mean,
There is no long duration project. That is only for talking of long duration project. Please don't mind my words. I talk very rough and tough and loud. So please don't mind my words. Okay. And don't feel bad about it because that's the way I normally talk. Okay. Now, so what is happening? One of your projects is of 9 years duration. Am I correct? It took 9
Yes.
years. Am I right?
yes.
Yes. Now the project by definition, anything done 3 or 4 years is not. What is the project? You know, because you have not studied project, you have studied only data analysis. Let me be very clear in my mind. You have not studied project. One, the definition of the project is that is something where for a limited period you are excited. That means you get, you know, there is a you must you're an engineering graduate. I mean, no.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, you have asked about the metal. You have got an electron moves out from one orbit to the other orbit when it gets excited. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what an electron is, and then accordingly it out. Now the question is that the project is something like that. You go to a limited time period when you go to excited level. Okay. And that's
Right.
and that is what defines a project. Because in a project, you are not like going at 7 o'clock, coming at 5 o'clock. That's not a project. And that is many people fools, and those projects are never successful. A project is a commitment for a limited period, and you cannot work with a commitment for a limited period, excited level of commitment. And that is what a 9 years level cannot be a project. Okay. These are certain basic things about project. Now, anyway, these are certain things. So the question is that, in fact, I was excited and I am frustrated after reading your thesis. Let me put it very bluntly. I am using very blunt words, which I normally do. So the question is that I thought there's something regarding infrastructure project come. There is nothing really speaking about infrastructure project. And the point is that the moment I see there is something which has gone to 9 years, I got completely disheartened. Okay. And it is purely data analysis. That is the first part of it. Anyway, so this is my summary of it, but let I come back to much more specific questions. In this project that I have studied, what have you learned about projects? Tell me, what is your learning about projects, not about the data analysis?
Sir, infrastructure projects, one learning which has already been supported by literature as well as my learning is like users expect a lot from infrastructure projects. I mean, who are the general public? They, during each project start.
No, I'm also a user of a thesis. I also expect a lot. Every user expects a lot.
Right.
That's the fundamental. This is not a statement. This is universal. Every user expects more. In a municipality, you don't want to pay the municipal taxes. You want more facility from the municipality. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's true everywhere. So what beyond that?
I mean, the awareness of the users is one thing which we could find in our study area. I mean, when we compared users with the professionals, we could find that users are also very well aware. That is why they question many of the project implementation aspects. Suppose when something is done, there is always a, what you call, in public projects, users always have that monitoring. I mean, although they are not the official monitors, they do monitoring in different ways and then create their own inferences. And if something is not moving in the right direction, then protests and everything start coming up. I mean, there were projects, some of the projects where due to many of these stakeholder oriented reasons, projects have stopped even after completing substantial portion of the project scope. I mean, many projects in our program itself, some projects which have completed almost 95% of the scope couldn't be commissioned because public found out something, or like there was some final glitch which public didn't approve, and ultimately due to political reasons or many other things, it has to be stopped. So these are the things. Stakeholder engagement has to be given more importance, especially in public infrastructure projects. And when it comes to essential services like water, road transport and all, I mean, those agencies which are managing these projects have to take sufficient care. There needs to be a continuous engagement process with all the stakeholders. We may not be able to get, views which are always in line or similar views, but we could, interact with them and ultimately get some common points based on which we can work out and make the project succeed. So these are few things which I could gather.
I see. Okay. Now the question is that, see, I did not find anything about project. I am asking this question that what is the learning about infrastructure project from this study? Because that is one of the key words in your thesis title. What have you learned about infrastructure projects?
Sir, one thing was with respect to, what are the success factors which different stakeholders consider and how we should plan for these success factors in the initial phases of the project, so that there will be a possibility to achieve greater success levels and avoid conflicts. That is one point. Then coming to the criteria itself, technical criteria is generally used during project performance reviews, like time, cost, quality. These are the common parameters, and scope also we'll be checking out, whereas the external parameters are things which are not that much included in the overall framework. The importance of this is getting highlighted in many literature during the last few years or last decade, but this is one thing which we need to take care. Such efforts are in a Kerala perspective, if we see such efforts, although it is understood it has to be incorporated in the project mechanism, then only we will be able to bring the project to a good successful closure. Otherwise, assets will be created and there will be problems during the maintenance phase. Benefits which we perceive will not be achieved even substantially. There will be shortfalls, and ultimately a lot of resources are getting spent on this. When it goes beyond a particular time frame, people are frustrated and there will be implications on the government or governance aspects. So all these are what we could get from the study.
Now, in the projects that you have studied, how did you came to all the criteria, critical success factors? How did you arrive at that?
Sir, it was mainly based on literature. Have gone through project management literature, of which tried to screen out success factors for infrastructure projects which are related to infrastructure projects. So these criteria were taken into consideration, and those which would be mostly aligning to planning of projects was also taken. That's how we arrived at this 27 success factors.
So can I state here, what is so different between projects and not projects?
Something which is carried out for a special purpose or a unique purpose becomes a project.
Let me tell you, I think we are going down. See, one of the things that comes in project, the project is done in an excited, as I was giving the example of a nucleus and then electronic circle. When the electron gets excited, it goes to the outer thing. Am I correct? That is the way it operates. Now, the same thing in a project, you work in an excited state. So you work much more than your capability. And that's why a project which is a long duration will always be failure. The reason is that because you cannot work in excited state for a longer duration. That is one of the basic reasons. It is much more behavioral than anything else, which you have been using the word behavioral for a long time. That's the state. And one of the questions is, so a project which is of not limited duration cannot be successful. And it cannot be called a project because it cannot work in excited state for a long time. That's the fundamental of a project. Okay. Now the question that arises over here, you have done this study on projects, and I don't know, you should have put it a critical success criteria and then you are doing study, but you have highlighted the infrastructure projects and based on stakeholders' views. I found it very difficult. I think the title was misleading to the type of work that you have done in some sense. Okay, that's not an important issue anyway. But the question that comes up that I am, one of the things that happens in a project, and that's one of the important things, all your projects are of Travancore. Am I correct?
Thiruvananthapuram, yes. Thiruvananthapuram, Travancore.
Thiruvananthapuram. It is same as Travancore. Am I correct? It's same.
Thiruvananthapuram is the, headquarters of the Travancore Kingdom, erstwhile Travancore Kingdom.
Okay, so that is for outsiders, both are same.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the question that I ask, these factors equally travel to any project outside also. Okay, that the basic question comes. Because projects are projects, whether it is Trivandrum or it is somewhere else. Okay. Right. So the question that I wanted to ask, in these projects, you have asked the critical success factors, the infrastructural projects that are going to do. Now, one of the important things in projects, project performance significantly depend on the size. Are you aware of it? What happens?
Yes, sir.
What
yes,
happens?
Sir. When size increases, it becomes very complex and, a lot of issues crop up.
Well, I don't think I'm looking for that answer. The question is that the bigger the project, the less is chances of a success. Okay.
Yes.
That's you will find all the time. By and large, there may be exception, but by and large, a project, the longer the duration, the less is chances of success. This is a classical rule of projects, and all your projects are supposed to be very small in size. You have taken 500 crores. Am I correct? Maximum project.
Yes, sir. 500 crores.
The moment it becomes 5,000 crores, the performance becomes significantly less. This is another important thing. So your project, your entire work is very limited. 500 crore is considered as a very, very small project. And the learning from this cannot be extended to all projects. This is the first thing, because it significantly depends on the size of the project. Okay. And
right,
value of the project is one of the criteria of the size of the project. Other is the duration, and there are many such factors. But these two are main, cost and time. Okay. So one of the questions is that this cannot be generalized because your project that you talked of very small, only Travancore, and you have not gone beyond Travancore. And are you sure that whatever you are learning for Travancore, or sorry, Trivandrum, is replicable to any other city?
No, sir, I won't be. I cannot generalize like that unless, there is a comparative analysis.
The answer at the first is no.
Yes, sir.
Let us be very clear about it. Yes. Because the point is that you have taken a very limited sample, and see, for example, I'm not trying to predict because see, what is my age? Do you know?
No, sir.
Okay, you need not know anyway, because this is what happens one place. Somebody will take a class, then he says, what is my age? They feel your age is 72. How do you know it? Because there is a person in our locality who is half mad. His age is 36. And since you're fully mad, so your age is 72. So you can consider me like that. I'm fully mad. Okay. So that's that. Now the question that I'm asking is that of course, I am more than 72, let me tell you. Okay.
From that, sir, I think it should be 16.
Huh?
From that criteria, it should be 16, sir.
16? What is 16? Why it should be 16? I'm not able to get you, Mr. Hariharan. Professor Hariharan.
Oh, 16, sir, you are fully aware. You are fully aware about the things, development. Very sound.
So, Mr. Saroj, now the question that happens is that, see, how do I put it? Now, whatever the work you have done, is not. In fact, that is where my difficulty is that, because see, why I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. You have done this work just to get a PhD, not a work to learn something, because till I'm not trying to project myself, because as I'm close to 80, so I don't have to project myself. I'll not get anything by projecting myself. Okay, that's not an issue. Now, even today, there are many people ask me, in your thesis, you did this work. Can you give us a little bit more things about it? Tell about more. And I do that, and I'm still very aware of what work I did. And people still ask me, can you give me a little bit more information on how did you do it? Okay, because now the point is that you should be proud of your diploma. It's not that getting a PhD, but something work, which is something which will be always assigned to your name. Oh, you are looking at this work. So this work has been done by this person. You see, in project, if you want to look at this work, go to Saros. Somebody should be able to say that one. So that's something uniqueness of your study that you have done. That's the way you should feel proud of it. That my doctoral work has given me some pride according to which I got recognition. And even today I get a question, well, in your work you did this, can you elaborate on that? It is a very absurd thing. What I did is a very absurd. What you have done is something more concrete than what I have done. But people ask, because there was something very unique, and people still ask me, well, how do you go about doing it? Okay, that's the important thing. So the question is that you should be proud of what you have done, and people should ask that, well, if you want to know more about it, you go to this person. Now, somehow or other, you have collected some data through some sources, and you have published a thesis. That's about all. Get a PhD, which you will get anyway. So that's not. But I think you should have done something more unique about it. I find it little difficult that you have spent so much of time and it should have come out something else. Let me tell you, there is about a thesis. I find it very difficult. What should I ask about this thesis? I mean, not question, but I'll give an example. You know, I was in South Africa for 2 years, and in the University of Cape Town. And they occasionally, even today, they sometimes ask for some views and all these things. They send some mail. So once they send me a thesis for evaluation, that was the easiest thing to do for me, because I have to write only good things about the thesis. It is such a beautiful thing. And every time I go to one page, then I go back to the front page to look at it. Because all the time I'm trying to ask a question, is it a master thesis or a PhD thesis? Actually, it is a master thesis. And it is a one-year master's, I think. So he did this work in 6 months, really speaking, while 3 months while you're doing his master's coursework and 3 months after the coursework. It can anytime pass. Then I knew the supervisor. I said, it is a wonderful thesis. I can recommend it for PhD. So he said, yes, we are also thinking of that one. I would have also done the same thing. Later on, I met that person who wrote the thesis in a conference. I don't know where. It was either in, anyway, I think it was, I don't recall. I think it was in Rome where I met him. Yeah, I think Rome. Rome or in Barcelona, one of these two places. So when I met him, he is such a simple guy. He said, now I'm doing PhD in the same area. I said, you could have submitted the same thesis. And he also said, so the question is that, and I kept it, do you know what happened? This thesis is so good, and it is structured and written in a manner so beautiful. So I kept it. I was in Kharagpur at that time when I got this thesis. So as that Kharagpur, I showed it to my faculty. Then it came back to me. It came in a very short period. Then I thought I should keep it in the library so that people can see how a thesis to be written, how a thesis to be done. They kept it in the library. After a few years, I went to the library. I said, do you have this thesis? No, sir, it is missing. So they have purposely got it missing so that nobody will refer to it again. It is such a beautiful thesis. You can learn how to write a thesis. And the amount of work that he did in just about 6 months' time. Unthinkable. So one's heart should be there when you do the work. Heart should be. This is one is not to get a PhD or something like that, but your heart. It is something. A research work is identified with the person. This person has done this work. Somebody should be able to tell this. Well, you are looking for this work. This person has done the work. So that's the way your identity should come. And I don't think there's much about the project in this whole case, except that the data is from project. Again, one of the important things is that as I said, that one of our project went up to 9 years. It cannot be considered because one of the project is a limited duration project, first of all. Second thing is that the project performance, all your projects are very small. You said all are Trivandrum city. The question is that all project performances significantly differ with size, which you have not captured. So even in project respect, your your capture is very, very limited. So I really don't know. But can you, and you have gone purely by, how did you collect the data? Through questionnaire survey?
Yes, sir. Household survey of users was the main
Household survey.
household survey.
Who did it?
We did it, me and some of my friends, and there was a team. We did
In
it.
Trivandrum city itself.
Yes, sir.
Because the question that comes up, anyway, so that's the type of thing. So I don't have any more questions to ask, but you have done a very hard work, but the question is the utility is very, very limited. That's the only question that I have got. And it has been a more of a data analysis. And I don't think there's much to learn about the projects per se in this case. Unless you want to say something, these are the unique thing that I got about projects from my study. Okay. I don't think I did not get anything much of projects in this case. Okay. So unless you wish to say something, that's all that I wanted to say. Possibly you should have done some more because see, for all your life, you are not going to do another PhD. Okay. For all your life, you should be able to say, this is the subject on which I've done PhD. A PhD means what? You are the only person who are identified with the theme of the project, of that PhD. Am I correct?
Right.
So throughout your life, you say, this is the work I have done. That's the way one should give it, which I find myself. And I still get some people asking me question about my work that I've done. So the question that is there, there's a little bit of more depth and things of that sort, which I did not find much. But anyway, it's okay. But with the limited objective that you had, you have done a good work. That's the only thing I can say. But little bit of more in-depth analysis would have been better. That's the only thing I can say. Okay. Anyway, all the very best. Wish you all be good. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank you very much, sir, Professor Arvind.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah,
I don't know, you may not be impressed by my observations.
Always I continue to be impressed.
Honorarium.
You have a different, perspective, sir, altogether. And I think, a kind of, passionate researcher, I think must have the perspective. I agree with you. It cannot be with very, very limited boundaries and,
I was talking about.
It can't be hypothesis, statistics, and, it
Yeah,
must
that's
be
correct.
much beyond that.
It should go beyond that. That's the point. If I did not ask that question, they'll feel very bad.
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you to that.
I was talking of this fellow, that Parsi fellow, what is it? Homi Katra. Homi was such a serious worker. Do you know? He has not done PhD. And let me not repeat why he has not done PhD, purely technical part of it. But he has got his students all over the world. And Homi is such a serious worker. Oh God. I mean, I was all the time astonished that if I could be at least 1/3 as serious as he is, possibly I would have done much more work.
I agree with you, sir. In fact, there are so many renowned scientists, they never got PhDs and they may not get PhDs also. And what all they have done, we continue to use it on a day-to-day basis. So many of them, I think, that's what is.
So at least a person who does PhD, they should be a little bit more passionate about it. That's the point I tried to mention. Okay. In fact, so I'll give only one instance because this is what happened. This is the difference between the American PhD and other PhDs. The America PhD is a number game. I mean, the publication game. How many publications you have got? So while I was doing PhD, I was reading through a lot of papers. So one paper came across to me, I read it. And I found this paper is whatever he has said. And earlier days, people used to be a little bit more open. Now they are not. They hide more and so less. Okay. They'll give the algorithm, they do the whatever that. So that algorithm I coded. And I found the result is different from what he has highlighted. So I thought my coding may be different or my code. I tested it. So I went, ultimately, I wasted a lot of time in coding, decoding and learning that. Then I went to my supervisor. I said, see, I have done this work so many times. These are similar to what I was trying to do, extension much. It is a small part of the work that I was trying to. So he says that, well, that person is coming to the institute just next week. So talk to him directly. This is what I was told. So next week the person came. And who is the person? He is the editor of management science. Okay, you know management science about it. It is the best journal that one can think of in management. So where I do have an art of publication. And why I do have a publication, you come to know just now. So he's coming next week. I said, okay. So next week when he came, just in front of my supervisor, I asked him these questions. You know, I have gone through this paper and you have quoted this result. But when I quoted your algorithm, which you have given in the paper, I did not find this result. It was quite different than this. And he kept quiet. That means he has manipulated the figure to show the result.
That's what. Yeah, I think it happens, sir. I think, you know, there are very synthetic results that come on synthetic papers.
I did not pursue it very much. Okay. The result was such. I mean, I kept quiet, and that's why I my supervisor. But he was a very renowned person. Very, because editor of management science is a. Now what has happened? Because of this, I got an advantage. Whether sent my paper for public management, you have to go through any review. It was published just like that.
Yeah, I think, sir.
Anyway, sorry for it. So anyway, he has done a very hard
problem, sir.
I wish there should be a little bit of depth in this. That is what is missing. I don't know. I mean, that is the only comment.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for your very insightful observation. So, okay, sir, we can move to Dr. Raju Kumar Pandaji. I think he also has been waiting, and sir, over to you, sir, for your evaluation.
First of all, my heartiest regards to Arvind Tripathi, sir. It has been 20 years since I have listened to sir. So probably sir might not have remembered me. 20 years back, sir has come to Rourkela, and that time we had listened to him, and my research journey, in spite at that time, in fact, sir, from taking input from the sir, I took it forward. And that time also, I have unlearned many things. Rather than learning, it was unlearning that what is not to do in a research journey. And today it is exactly the same. It is more about telling people what not to do in research, what not to do in a PhD journey. And that is really an asset to any research scholar. Sir, thank you, sir, for your continued inspiration for research scholars across generation.
Yes, sir.
Thanks very much.
As sir has covered many aspects of the thesis evaluation of this particular thesis. When I went through the thesis as a reviewer prima facie, it looked like an operation thesis, but being a marketing person, I found it is more predominantly, as sir told, is collecting data through a 5-point Likert scale and analyzing that through an SPSS, which do not do justice to the title of the PhD thesis.
Let me tell you one more question. I sorry for interruption. The question is that, in fact, I have put that question, somehow did not ask this question. Why do you use a 5-point scale? In fact, one of the things that one should not use a 5-point. We always go by some standard thing. You should use a even number, 6-point scale. Then the thing. We got a standard 5-point, 3-point scale. This is one of the worst things that one does. It is just to fit my results so that I get my PhD. And not the work. If you want the strength of the work, this should be a 6-point, 4-point scale, and not 5-point or 3-point scale. This is, I somehow find it very, very agonizing. Let me tell you.
In the thesis, sir, the term success criteria and success rating are used as synonymously, but actually those are two completely different ballgame. And in my review also, I mentioned that please substantiate through proper literature that what is the difference between criteria and rating, which probably you have not addressed in your presentation today. Lots of your limitations are not natural. Rather, those limitations are created by you only as a researcher. So the limitations of the research, which is self-created, cannot be told that it is the limitation of research. Because the choice of the city, the choice of the sample, it is your choice. Nobody has forced you to choose them. And then telling it as a limitation do not suffice the logic of research. That is my observation. Then there is a literature review where the research gap has not been identified. In fact, the research objective should be byproduct of gap, not the other way. So research gap has not been identified. The critical success factors that have been keep coming in every chapter has different meaning across problems. It should have unanimous and single meaning. What critical success factors you mean? That cannot be changed according to our comfort. That's what I found in the 3-4 chapters that you had, and the meaning of those things are binary. Next point that I wish to mention is the dissemination that you have made out of your PhD work. None of the dissemination talks about the objective of the study. We have certain objective through which we are carrying out our research journey, and the dissemination is talking something else. So why there is a disparity in this? Because generally our dissemination are our testimony of our research. And when the reviewers evaluate our research work, they give us certain comments. And from those comments, we take learning forward and correct the paper. And that is one thing that we treasure for life. But most of the dissemination, you have only one dissemination, which you claim to be a Scopus index journal. And rest others are either conference paper or not index journal. We could have chosen a better journal, which is in ABDC A or ABDC B. That makes a lot of sense, because it has to be mandatory for any research scholar to at least publish 2 papers, whether it is executive PhD or normal PhD, whatever. At least 2 papers should be set as a benchmark for PhD submission. That too in a good journal, because that doesn't give us credit, but that at least is a self-satisfaction that my work has been evaluated by peer reviewers, and those who are quality reviewers globally. So that is one point that I have also mentioned in my, and the references that you have chosen are very arbitrary. Lots of references are either not mentioned the thesis, or the references which is mentioned the thesis are not cited properly in the reference section.
In many diseases, somehow that you have to, people kind out 100 papers and then they refer only some 20 papers or something. This is a very sad state of affairs anyway.
The synthesis of the research is to whom we refer while doing PhD. Who are those people? To whom they have referred, to whom they have referred. So it is more like a snowball sampling, the citation. And those things are crucial, and that was missing in the thesis. And rest, every other points like
I want a small observation, yes, just for the, it has got nothing to do with the thesis, something which is very fundamental in doing PhD and others. While I was doing a PhD student, there was some paper came out in a journal, and I found if I use my algorithm, I can come out with a better result. So I used my algorithm, which I was working on at that point of time. My PhD, I was going a PhD, doing PhD, not completed, and I got better result. So I wrote the article that rejoined to the paper that if we use this approach, then you can get a better result, and make out a paper in the small follow-up of that paper. So like many students, I also went to my supervisor to include the name so that it can, so my supervisor flatly refused. He says, it is your work. How can I put my name? This is not my work. So then the supervisor also said, I know your motivation is that if you put my name, it will get published, all this. He says, see, if the paper is quality, it will definitely get published. I don't want to put my name because I have not done the work. Then after that, what happened is that I checked with my fellow students who are there and other teachers. And my supervisor was the head of the department. He says, never ask for including the name of your supervisor, because the person has never published anything jointly with the student as a matter of principle. Okay. So never ask, because this is something the supervisor, my supervisor valued. In India, it is very common to put the supervisor's name in the publication. So that was not done. So,
sir, in fact, just to only comment on that, sir, in fact, if you see the international reputed publications,
yeah,
they demand to know the contribution of each one of the authors.
Yes.
Whereas if you see the Indian publishers, it has become more of a norm in so many of the universities, it is obligatory on the part of a scholar to put the name. Otherwise, the supervisor will not even talk to him. In India, it's the other way around, sir. Without any contribution, sort of every supervisor expects that, mera naam hona hi chahiye. I think that is what the difference. I have seen, sir, in fact, in the international publication, they demand and say that every one of them, it has to be recorded. That, so this is the
some of these basic things you don't follow. Very sad. I felt very.
Anyway, sir. Yeah. So, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Pandaji, any other comments with regard to his thesis and
Another one observation is the sample is a little skewed. We have not tested normality properly. You see the sample and it is a 5-point scale. It is left skewed or right skewed, which hinders the test of normality. The concept of normality, and if you do not do normality test, then other tests do not become really conclusive. So that is one observation that I found.
My overall suggestion will be there to Mr. Sarosh. Am I correct, Mr. Sarosh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's say I don't know what is the outcome of this. Of course, by and large, everybody knows. That's not the question. I think you should try to do some more work on your things and say that this is the limitations and this can be corrected in there. You should come out with a paper like that and publish it. That will be better because there are quite a few limitations that we have observed in the work. So you should come out with another paper addressing those issues. Okay, that will be very useful. It will for your learning as well as for the others' learning also. Okay, I think that is the way. Anyway, yes, sir.
Any other comments, sir, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Pandaji?
Yes, I am done, sir.
Okay. So, thank you very much. In fact, I agree with the viewpoints of both Dr. Arvind Tripathi and also Dr. Rajiv Kumar Panda. See, in fact, Sarosh has been a practicing project manager. And he was very keen that yes, he wants to do something very pragmatic, and he had a passion to do some kind of work in the same area in which he has been working. So I think he worked hard, and despite the COVID times, and yes, any PhD, any research work, unless some limitations are there, some gaps are there, so how can others work? So that way there are some gaps. And the Professor Arvind Tripathi's suggestion that after having worked in the same subject and got so much of a domain knowledge, if you can put in small incremental efforts, maybe that can do a lot more value addition. A lot of times, the value addition will not depend on the size of efforts. It's the quality of the efforts, just like in a project. So with something like 1% incremental efforts, maybe I think it will come out with a paper, with maybe a 40% or 50% more contribution, you may be able to do that. I think that's something that Sarosh can work on, definitely. So
I've got only one small suggestion there, Brother. In fact, one of the things that could be, I personally look at a doctor, as I was telling already during that, a doctor means you are identified with that work. This is the area where Professor Tripathi has worked. This is the area where Mr. Sarosh has worked. This one. So one of the things that could be there, you are going out a lot of experience. You have seen the world in some sense. So, but you encourage them to work not in that area, but some related area and bring his experience. Otherwise, what he does, he thinks, I have learned this, I have seen this, so this is the best thing. There can't be anything better. So one of the ways to do something different, that may bring out little bit of, so with your experience of seeing the things and doing the another area may bring out better result. That is just a suggestion. I don't know.
That's a very wonderful suggestion, sir. I think, maybe I think, the further research work in the area of the project management, I think we should try and build upon this rather than, doing something, totally disjointed. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I think that is something that we'll work on that, sir. I think, otherwise they're all disjointed, islands. And instead of that, if we are able to build upon what was done earlier, and also particularly some of our scholars, with the deep practical experience, I think that is something I think there's a need to leverage that. So definitely we'll work on that. So in fact, as a matter of fact, so Dr. Hariharan sir Like, in fact, he has been guiding our scholars, particularly in the area of the project management.
He's a very serious man, let me tell you. I got the brother. He is so serious. Oh God.
So that is the reason why, like, typically whenever there's, any research on the project management, I tag on to him. Because earlier also, in fact, there was a gentleman, from the SAIL. He has done some work on the project management and the brownfield projects. Sort of that also he was guiding. So maybe that's something we are trying to work out, sir, so that, at the supervisor level also, if they guide, the scholars in similar research areas, sort of, I thought that can do some more value addition.
Yes,
That will bring in some level of continuity, I believe, rather than giving it to somebody else.
Not only that, it will become a certain amount of expertise area for the institute.
Exactly, expertise area, and so that he also knows what others have done and what they have not done, so that we can build upon that. I think that is something we are trying to work out on that, sir. I think that's great, sir. I think both of you are through. If you say that now your evaluation is complete, we'll throw it open to the rest of our participants, sir. Is it all right, sir?
It's okay. And maybe this is our last meeting. I may not be existing beyond this.
Why, sir? Why, sir? Why you not be existing, sir? Why not?
I'm 80 years old.
So what, sir? No problem, sir. Sir, in fact, age is just a number, sir. We keep reading it, but we don't internalize. The problem is, every day we read and say that age is just a number. But after that, I say I'm 80 years old. Sir, how do you prove that you are 80 years old, sir? Leaving aside your date of birth. So you are not. I contest and argue and say that you are not 80 years old. Then we'll work on that separately. I think we'll continue bothering you. And despite I think
no, I mean that is something by nature. I mean, I personally feel, and this is when I was in IIM Ahmedabad,
yes,
there are some people whom I really looked at a very good scholar, but that scholar had a very bad views which I did not like. He said, I will not guide research students. I said, why? It's too much of a work. Okay. I said, see, if you don't do hard work, we'll never have future PhDs. This is our responsibility. It is our responsibility to really work so that some students can come up.
Yes,
and I think we have to, and let me tell you, if at all I've been able to, I went through these pages and tried to devote some time, which is not small anyway, is largely because, see, there is some continuity. Some people continue to do work, some encourage them, otherwise there'll be no work.
Yes, sir.
So I feel it as my responsibility.
Sir, that is the reason why I keep coming to you, sir, again and again. Sir, it is more than 5-6 years back. I think I think maybe a little bit around that time. Sort of we have invited you, and all of us get benefited, sir. Not only the young scholars but also the supervisors. All the supervisors also stand benefited, so they get benefited out of your insightful advice to them. So, sir, in fact, now I think sort of Professor Tripathi and Dr. Rajiv Panda, I know they completed that. And if there are any other views or comments, see, Sarosh, don't feel so sort of a sad here. Don't feel sad. You have done good job.
No. Question is, must continue and do more. Build on it.
Yeah, we have to build on that.
Build on that. And this
because the purpose of
not to. There's always a limitations.
Yeah. No, I think a scholar, because after having worked on that, last thing as a professional researcher, I think we should have the humility to feel that, oh, what I have done is so little, so much more to be done. I think that is a perspective which, Dr. Arvind Tripathi and Dr. Rajiv Panda is bringing. They are not saying that, oh, you didn't work at all, So in fact, he worked very hard, despite various constraints, because, I have been, part of his research journey. Not only him, almost all of our scholars, I live with them and see what they are doing. So that being the case, like.
I'll give one example, which I've given earlier also, you must have heard this, but for the benefit of Sarosh and somebody who has never heard me. See, when I was completing my thesis, because I wanted to get back to India as quickly as possible, but it has a time period which will take to. So my supervisor said, do you have anybody in mind as an examiner? I said, I don't know anybody. I came purely to do my work and not to do some sort of a socializing. I really don't know. So I said, okay, I'll find somebody. So then he said, okay, we'll give a seminar. You have done the work. So I gave a seminar. And contrary to Indian environment, there the seminars are beyond office hours. It is on the evening 6:30 to 9, 6:30 to 8. And believe me, people are so serious about seminars. People, I was giving the seminar in London. Somebody came from Scotland, and you don't get here. I'll come to you. Please give me my travel money or this. There they have to come with their own money. I met some people who came from Scotland because I was doing the state of art at that point of time. So they came to listen to me. So the fellow said, I schedule my class early so that I can catch this train and come to London and be in the seminar. Then after the seminar, he will have dinner and take a night train so that next morning he can take his class. This is the type of commitment
That
they
is
have.
true, sir. I think people are very...
What has happened in my seminar is that somebody asked me a question and corner, and so I answered the question. After some time, he again asked the question. I said, see, I have answered this question and you are again repeated. I have clarified this point. And I normally, as you know, I'm a little aggressive. My voice is also like that. So then my supervisor, okay, I think it is too late. Let us go for a drink. Because then, do you know who is this? Well, no, he's your external examiner. And he was in what would have happened to me. I said, oh God. First thing that I did, I rang my wife. She was there with me. That I'll not be coming for dinner. So you go have your dinner. So what happened? I went to the dinner with all the supervisor. But that fellow, examiner, the examiner, while we were going, about 5-6 of us are going for dinner, he said something which is very interesting. And I think I have said this thing to you also. Yes, he said, see, we listening to a seminar, we ask questions. Because you can ask questions without knowing the things also. I don't have to stop asking the question. But the person who is answering, he has done the work. The benefit of doubt should always go to that person. Where the person has done the work. So we cannot challenge it unless we have done the work in the same field.
That is true.
Very, very affirmative way of looking at things. So I got little confident of that one.
Well, not at all, sir. Sir, in fact, we would like to give the same level of confidence to Sarosh also. He has done the work.
That's
he has
what
done the work, and he has worked on that.
As a result, what happened, my PhD divider lasted only for 2 minutes. Only for 2 minutes. He says, the examiner, he was the examiner, so he said, I have never seen such long sentences so far. The Indians write long sentences. He read out a sentence. This is 3 lines. I never read such a long sentence. That is the only comment he had in my theory. Only 2 minutes PhD Viva. That's all. Because all the things in the seminar we clarified and everything. So there's nothing to add. So what I'm trying to say, that the benefit of doubt always goes to the person.
Oh, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Because, amongst all of us, Sarosh is the only one that has got such a rich experience in handling, projects, hands-on projects. Sir. Okay. Sir, in fact, with your permission, sir, can I ask, others to make some comments, sir? Because, otherwise, as you said, not dinner, we should not end up in tomorrow's breakfast, sir. And today is not Mahashivratri, sir. If Mahashivratri, at least we can get, something from God. So Dr. Suri Chattopadhyay, sir, any comments or any views from your side, sir?
Thank you. Thank you to Professor Tripathi and Professor Panda also. And thank you, Mr. Sarosh. You have done a very good job. And a lot of valuable comments we heard from Professor Tripathi and Professor Panda. I think if you can just implement some of them, it will definitely give a value addition. From my side, only just 2 observations or something like that, may not be related with your PhD work. Since you are already a passionate, the worker in the project field and this thing, and your topic is infrastructure project success criteria, and from the stakeholder point of view, many a times for the infrastructure projects, we do social cost benefit analysis, which is very much important. So for stakeholders, views are also concerned. So maybe it will not be possible for you to extend this one. In future, in your real life situation, you can do, because for infrastructure project, it is one of the most important things to do the social cost benefit analysis. This is number 1, my personal view. Second thing is that the success of the project depends a lot about the executing agency and executing mode. Whatever you've got the data or something like that regarding the success criteria, if you go for analyzing some sort of the project which has been executed on PPP mode, there you might be getting some more detail or some diversified opinion. So in future, since you are in the field, you can explore those things to have a total holistic view of the project. What Professor Tripathi was telling all along. So wishing you all the best, Mr. Sarosh.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Subhi Chattopadhyay. Sir, any comments and views from Dr. Satyan Kishore, sir?
Mr. Sarosh, Dr. Sarosh, sir. Yeah. So it was very thorough work. Well done. You did largely on the data side, and the insight which Professor Tripathi and Professor Panda, they suggested. So that you can look into and you can further, contribute by way of paper and all. So hearty congratulations. And my special, I think this is a very special day because I had the darshan of Professor Tripathi. I mean, so many memories. It dates back to 1993 when I had met him first in Ahmedabad, and then it got renewed when he had come to CMPDI for that operations research project with another gentleman with the French
Raghuram,
yeah, Raghuram, yes. So उसके बाद तो हम लोग फिर मिलते रहे और series of programs on project management we did at IICM. तो आपका तो प्यार और आशीर्वाद वो हमेशा मिलता रहा है. We have a different kind of bond. तो कभी कभार हम लोग कम से कम फोन पे भी मिलते रहें, है ना?
surely.
मैं आपको कांटेक्ट करता रहूंगा, है ना?
Surely.
हाल चाल पूछता रहूंगा. लेकिन अभी थोड़ा सा फोन नंबर आपका कहीं इधर उधर.
No, वो मैडम के पास में है.
अच्छा ठीक.
Madam has got my telephone number.
ठीक.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
give you, sir. No, not a problem, sir, because we have been
sir.
interacting with, the Tripathi ji, so that way, all his coordinates are with us, sir. Otherwise, we won't have brought him to this level at all. So we'll give you, sir, no problem, sir. That's okay. So unless Professor Tripathi does not want to get disturbed, if you say no disturbance, we'll not do that.
So last में Tripathi sir, आपको अभी all wish you a very very long and healthy life. आप ऐसा मत बोलिए, 80 साल तो कुछ नहीं है. आप अभी बहुत कम से कम 3-4 डिकेड रहेंगे.
Thanks very much.
ठीक.
It will be national life. The more we live, the more national liability.
No, sir, we look, sir, in fact, I think that aspect, I think, we will leave to for your, a social talking, sir. So,
right, sir.
Yeah, so any comments from anybody else? I think Dr. Rajkumar is there, Dr. Mridhanisha, Dr. Barik, and anybody else. Sir, in fact, Dr. Chandramohan is there. I'm sorry, I didn't start off say him. Dr. Chandramohan, is a project expert, with a lot of domain knowledge, that's why he has been guiding him. So definitely we would like to have the comments of, and views of Dr. Chandramohan, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't see your name earlier. That's why, we could not, sort of put you to that. Yes, sir. Dr. Chandramohan, sir. Sir, I think you have to unmute, sir. Yes.
Okay. I think I have done that. Okay, good evening to all. In fact, the comments which I heard from the two evaluators, learned professors, are really good. In fact, such kind of drilling is required in PhD Vivas, because one should at least feel the seriousness of the PhD how to get the PhD and the research work he is doing. Now, the basic thing which differed from project, and now here Sarosh has taken into account of the opinion, that kind of variables he has taken. So the feasibility analysis or the social cost benefit analysis, all those things are done before the project is taken up. So that based on the rate of return or whatever it is, now that decision to take up the project or not is considered. But here, what he has taken is the opinion of the people. Now, I can tell you one example. Probably now, of course, I do not belong to any political party. Still, there is a project here which has got a lot of criticism, the K-Rail project. K-Rail, there is a lot of objection from the public for implementing it. K-Rail, according to them, they have done the feasibility analysis. They found that it's feasible financially also. So, but now what happened was, the alignment which the rail goes is through people, through residences, with a lot of resistance from the people. So now it's not withdrawn, but it's not taken further. So that is again, it is the public opinion about the project. If they have taken this project, or if the public accepted this project, probably this would have gone further. So what Sarosh has done is regarding such kind of opinion. So Likert scale and such kind of opinion rating he has used. So from the angle of project, yes. From the angle of project, you could have done quite a lot of things. In fact, the two evaluators, they have given the comments very correctly. So you should not, in fact, when you go for a research, the first thing in mind is to get a PhD. But now you should go beyond that. You should you should try to make use of that effort and bring out some value and satisfaction, self-satisfaction. So this is what I thought. Thank you for giving me the time to comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think, all of us are thankful to you for guiding, Mr. Sarosh, particularly from the domain perspective and with all your experience that you have. Sir, any others? We have got Dr. Rajkumar, Dr.
Sir, I would just like to.
Yeah. Sir, Hariharan sir, please go ahead, sir.
Sir, Hariharan, in fact, yours should be the last word.
Yeah, okay. So then,
because you have been with him,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dr. Hariharan, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No, I must thank both the examiners, Professor Tripathi and Professor Panda, to giving the right perspective to the any research work, especially in the project area. So that will further, it should add to the knowledge of Mr. Sarosh also, though he has done very hard work. And since he's now continuing with IIT Palakkad, so it will help you a lot immensely, let me tell you. Maybe unlike other scholars who are working in some corporate and this thing, and after a few months they forget also, but he can work on this thing and further build up on the session which has given, the two examiners, the session which are given to him. So I think in further it will enrich his work in the future also. And he will be certainly gain out of it. I mean, in terms of expertise, in terms of knowledge and everything. And just let me briefly tell you about the research process. I mean, I was very much involved with him. So first we try to find out what's the premise of his work. Okay. So one was that we take the project, completed project, then what's the novelty in his work? So we thought, okay, not many things have been done, the project management, how to manage cost, time and all those things. So let us take the user's viewpoint. Okay. Ultimately, every project has to be used by the users. Government gives the fund, but users. So let us take that. So that was the one novelty part we thought of. And then after that, then it was the research process and this thing, how to go about this thing, designing, questionnaire, this thing. So very methodically has followed this research process, let me tell you. And I think you come out with a lot of data. This is one reason that rightly Professor Tripathi also pointed out that probably he got submerged in the data and probably forgot the project management over there. So, but anyway, he followed those systematic process and then finally completed analysis over there. So I think he has done a good job from a perspective of a PhD research work, and expect that he'll continue whatever feedback has been given to him, and he should further help him. And once again, I must thank Professor Tripathi and Professor Panda for giving their very critical and very frank review to him. So once again, thank you, and thank you the entire ICFI team for improving the thesis work. The entire team was there to support him for making his thesis a PhD thesis. So thank you. And I want to thank
sir,
all.
thank you very much, Dr. Hariharan, sir. I think for
Yes,
your, not only patient, but also passionate guidance. You are, so actively involved in the work. It's not that, you are there, just to sort of, to guide from out sidelines into that, sort of, thank you so much. So any comments, Dr. Barik, you want to say something?
No, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Saroj. First of all, we are really obliged at best regards to Arvind sir and Rajiv sir. So their words and their advice, I was just listening from the beginning. So it inspires us and gives a directions to do research, because he has explained the both intrinsic and extrinsic value of the research, because we are thinking research in one direction. So maybe it will help to us as a supervisor. So really we are indebted and thankful to you for a valuable suggestion. We are also thankful to Dr. Hariharan sir for his guidance to make the PhD successful for Saroj. And I think a couple of suggestions has been given by Tripathi sir and Rajiv sir. One thing that comes to my mind after listening to is that whenever we write a thesis, be careful to the words. Because that I think Tripathi sir has carefully studied. What is the project? What is the critical success factor? What is success factor? Because sometimes we write English and we do not know what is the implication of that English to the particular thesis. So these are some of the learning, and I think we will take these things to our future scholars. Thank you very much, sir, once again.
Thank you. No, thank you very much, Dr. Barik. Anything, Dr. Rajkumar, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, Mr. Saroj, you worked really hard, as everyone have said, and maybe the association with you is maybe less, but you have the zeal to learn. That's the best part. What from a person who associated in the PhD team, I have observed on you. You try to learn things and you did by yourself, not like outsourcing or something. You literally entered into it and learned. That's the zeal what you got, and then the direction of getting the user's perspective you worked upon. Definitely on the work what you have done, you try to make maximum justice possible. That's appreciation from our end also. And sir, definitely, sir, the comments what has been given from Arvindo Tripathi sir and Rajiv Panda sir. Every time we also sit and eagerly listen, what are all the key words coming, and we also don't want to miss even a single word, and we read between the lines also. So by that way, all those takeaways are with that, and definitely our university is also growing in that line only. So every time whenever we get comments, we think how this can be incorporated. And we believe Saroj also will not be stopping his research work here, and definitely it will have a continuation. By that way, in the future works, in the papers, I definitely hope he'll cover all those perspectives what has come out of this entire discussion. And as a university, we'll also take care. So I'll join along with the external examiners. Once they say you have been awarded, I'll join along with them, and then we'll congratulate with them. Right? Thank you. That's it, sir.
Thank you very much. So if there are comments from anybody else, they are welcome.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Umnaji, how can we leave you? I think, you are an active participant.
Thank you very much, Saroj. Mr. Saroj.
Yes, ma'am.
Saroj.
Yes.
Actually, he is a very hard worker. The journey, he started with me in 2015. Very hard worker, and he always cooperated. Whatever, in between he was very sick, but still he was working with his thesis, as of course with the help of Arvind Hariharan sir and all other panel members. And I would like to thank Professor Arvind Tripathi and Rajiv Panda, Professor Rajiv Panda, for their valuable comments, which gave us a learning, and we can incorporate those things to the future research scholars who are in line. Thank you very much, VC sir, and all the panel members. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. So I think if there are no other comments, Sarosh, from our side, hearty congratulations to you. You have done a very good job and very passionate about that. And what we have seen is, every word what he has written is his own, contribution. So that's something that what we have seen is really very good. And as mentioned by Professor Tripathi ji and also Dr. Rajiv Panda ji, so what it's not the end of your journey. It's not the end of your project. It is just the beginning of your journey as a serious researcher. I think that is the perspective I think, the entire panel wants to kind of, highlight to you. Because a lot of times people think that, oh, it's the end of my journey of PhD and Mil Gaya PhD. So instead of that, sort of when once the PhD is conferred on you, you have a lot more additional responsibility on how to live up to that. I think that's what is the challenge, I think, what you have to take. So that being the case, yes, what you have done a lot of work, but it's just the beginning. You have to do a lot more things, and so that, you have to demonstrate and say that, you are the Dada in that field. You are the domain expert and you are the person to look up to when somebody talks of project management. I think that's what all of us wish for. And we wish, you all the best. And you are fortunate that, from the industry or corporate moving into the academics, that gives you the additional, opportunity. If you continued in the industry, a lot of times, sometimes they may not respect that. But otherwise, then, getting into the IIT, that gives you that opportunity. And also now, setting up an incubation center, that's a project by itself. I think some of the learnings, I'm sure that I think you can make use of on how to make that project a successful. So that, IIT Palkad will be benefited and the entire country will be benefited out of that. That's all what I want to say. And congratulations to you. And so with this, we can sort of close.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and Rumnaji, I think if all of you can switch on your video for a kind of fleeting second, maybe I think Ruma wants to take this thing and before we sort of close today's session.
The parties are left.
So yeah, okay, I think maybe he's been sitting for quite some time, so that's okay. We just see. All right. So, okay, Rumnaji, I think you snap, screenshot jo lena lijiye. Sort of a congratulations not only to sort of Sarosh, congratulations to Dr. Hariharan, congratulations to Sir Professor Tripathi ji. All of us are waiting for to take one screenshot. Nowadays, screenshots have replaced the photographs. They were all asking for you, sort of one screenshot from you. I think that's sort of a really great. I think you can just sort of take it, and so our congratulations to not only to Sarosh, but also to Dr. Hariharan and Dr. Chandramohan for guiding him and bringing him to this stage. So thank you, and have a great sort of a day. All the best. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yes, sir, take it.
We are last to leave the party, sir.
No, I am here.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, all the best, Sarosh.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Okay.